So what does the president need to do to get his approval ratings back up? I'm joined now by Representative Gregory Meeks. He's a Democrat from New York, and by Representative Marsha Blackburn. She is a Republican from Tennessee. Thanks to both of you for joining us. So, Representative Meeks, let me begin with you. The president, is he doing enough to deal with the health care website? We know that the startup was a real debacle. There's a deadline looming. Is this in large part why we see his approval ratings dipping?
Well, it's clear that, as the president has indicated, we've had a bad rollout. And the best thing for the president to do is to just stay focused, because we know that the marketplace is going to open up. And once it does, individuals will then see and be able to look at what the Affordable Care Act really is. And then the conversation will go back also to what the Affordable Care Act is presenting to individuals even now. Those who no longer can be locked out because of pre-existing disease, and those young people who under 26 can stay on their parents' health care, those who can now have preventive medicine preventive care that they've never had before. So, it was a rocky rollout. Mistakes were made. The president has acknowledged that. And the thing that you do, and the last thing that was indicated was polls go up, polls go down, polls go up. There's plenty of time when American people start to get the health care that they need and realize for the first time that there's access to affordable health care like never before, then the polls will go back up. So there's no need in panicking here.
So, Representative Blackburn, do you think it's that simple, that it's just a matter of time before the American people who have been disappointed in, say, the rollout, for example, that things will look up and it will reflect as the case for the president's approval ratings?
Right. Well, what we're finding out is the rollout is just the tip of the iceberg, or, that's kind of the first wave of problems, if you will, Frederica. And what we now are seeing as the cost, the escalation and the sticker shock of the cost of health insurance is prevalent across the country, coast to coast. What we also are seeing, individuals are losing their existing health insurance. They cannot keep their plans. Secondly, they're not able to keep physicians and healthcare networks that they have established. Third, the cuts that are taking place within the Medicare community. And this is individuals who have basically prepaid for this. Government's been taking that money out of their paycheck all their working lives, if you will. And it is a series of problems. And as Mr. Chow from CMS told us this week in a hearing in our committee, you've got 30 to 40% of that website system that has not been developed. This infrastructure, the backbone of the marketplace, if you will, that will accommodate the insurance payments from individuals to the company, will accommodate the insurance payments from the insurance company to the providers. And this is why so many individuals on both sides of the aisle are now saying you have to call a timeout, you have to suspend this, because the problems grow every single day.
This has been a week where the nation has reflected on past president, with the 50th anniversary of the assassination of JFK. And the president and the First Lady Michelle Obama actually sat down with Barbara Walters for an interview. And one of the things that the president talked about was the legacy of John F. Kennedy. Let's listen to that.
JFK in particular, I think, captured the idealism, the ability to imagine and remake America to meet its ideals in a way that we haven't seen before or since.
There have been a lot of presidential historians who have made comparisons between Obama and JFK. They're both youthful, both very affable, likable, beautiful wives, kids in the White House. So, Representative Meeks, in what way do you see the legacy of President Obama either shaping up, or has it already shaped up, or do you still see that there is time for him to cement his legacy?
Well, I think the camera of history is going to record President Obama in a very good light. When you think about the tough times of JFK, dealing with the Cuban Missile Crisis and the beginning of the Cold War with Russia and what was taking place and the racial tensions that were in our nation at that particular time. And President Kennedy was just starting to step up to the plate just a few months before his unfortunate assassination. He was talking about race relations. He stood up to some of the big challenges, even though they may not have been popular at the time. So he took some credibility hits with those that were anti-civil rights at the time. President Obama has done the same thing. When you think about the financial crises that he's had to get us through as a country, and we're starting to get back on the right feet, on the right footing. When you think about the overall economy, you think about Syria and some of the wars that he inherited in Afghanistan and Iraq, and how he's guided us out of that. History is going to record him in a good light. And overall, when this is done, history is going to show that he is the president that made affordable care, good health care, good for all Americans, similarly as took place back then when we finally passed Medicaid and Medicare.
And Representative Blackburn,
I think history is going to serve him well.
And Representative Blackburn, how do you see his legacy being cemented?
Yeah, I think that what you're going to have always as a footnote, or maybe an asterisk even, for the Obama administration is going to be weak leadership, fumbling, not able to figure out how to effectively lead, whether it is working with Congress or working with our allies. There's an article in the Wall Street Journal today where you have one of the Saudi Arabian princes talking about the lack of leadership and the reduction of standing of the U.S. around the globe. And people want to see strong, solid, focused leadership. And I think that's one of the things that JFK did well. He was for lower taxes. He wanted to make certain that people ask, what can you as an individual do to strengthen your country? That concept, Frederica, of giving back more than you take, that was an imperative and an underpinning in that administration. And I think that's the thing that people would like to see President Obama bring to the table during this last part of his administration, to bring forward that strong, decisive leadership. And what we have had is a series of fumbles that say there is a weakness and an indecisiveness there to strengthen the country as a whole for the good of the nation.
All right, Representative Blackburn and Representative Meeks, when we come back, we're going to find out what your thoughts are about the nuclear option in the Senate exercise this week, and whether this could already make difficult relations between the parties even worse.
So this is not just about Republicans versus Democrats. This is about doing what is right for this institution to evolve and remain responsive to the needs our country has. And we have not been doing that.
That was Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. He's defending the Democrats' move to make the approval of White House nominees a simple majority in the Senate, which effectively curbs the Republicans' ability to filibuster. Representative Marsha Blackburn back with us. Well, let me get you in on this one. Republicans have been filibustering nominees for months. The president even saying it's taken his nominees twice as long to be confirmed. And he said not because your party opposed the candidate on credentials necessarily, but because they opposed the larger policies. The Washington Post today reporting that the White House is looking to maximize the change, perhaps getting 240 judicial and executive nominees through. So, Representative Blackburn, is the White House overly optimistic?
I think the White House is overly optimistic, and I think that this is a power play that is absolutely going to backfire on Harry Reid and on the president. This is to set aside 225 years of precedent, to look at the way and the manner in which the Senate has been the greatest deliberative body in the world. And now, in order for convenience, and to avoid having a discussion with the American people and their elected representatives, they declare the nuclear option. And why? Because deliberation is too much work? Because it takes too much time? You know, I think that this is so incredibly unfortunate.
Well, let me get Congressman Meeks to respond to that. Is what she's saying the case, that it takes too much time, that no one wants to do the work, or is there something more to it? We heard the president's words, what his point of view on this was, but how do you respond to what she said?
Look, it's obvious that what the Republicans were doing, as Senator McConnell had said from day one when the president was inaugurated, that he's trying to block, and he will have the Senate minority try to block anything and everything that the president does. It is clear in the history of our nation, over 230 some odd years, when a filibuster had been utilized to block almost half of that has been done in 5.5 years just with President Obama, which means that they're not blocking his individuals because they're not qualified or because they're not good folks. They're blocking them because they don't want the president to get his people in place. Votes and elections have consequences. The American people elected President Obama, the president of the United States, by overwhelming
So how do you see the road
so
ahead
he
now?
should get his people there.
Do you think that this nuclear option will now open the way that the next 3 years of getting business done on Capitol Hill, at least in the Senate as it pertains to these nominees, will be different?
I think there will still be. There will be hearings. There will be questions of those who are nominated. They will be looking at the individual's qualifications. All of those things will still take place, except there will be vote now that will be based upon the merits of the individual and not based upon the politics of one party just trying to block the president's appointees.
Representative Gregory Meeks, Representative Marsha Blackburn, thanks so much to both of you. Appreciate it this Saturday, and of course have a great holiday as we enter the holiday week.
Absolutely, you too.
Thanks so much.